So tonight we will move from this period in the Bible where we kind of know the stories pretty well. We know a lot about Abraham and Sarah and Moses. And tonight we move to this time where the Israelites have now actually made it to the Promised Land. And it's a period that is kind of known as the Judges. So there's this time kind of lasts for about 250 years. And it's not the judges that you think of like in the court system today. These charismatic leaders of Israel, they get to move them from oppressive neighbors to obedience to God. And the people at this time really want a king. And so the story that we hear today kind of ends up leading it to that as well. And you know how in the story of Abraham and Sarah, how they really wanted kids, and Sarah was barren and they just couldn't have any kids. But they ended up having Isaac. This is kind of ends up being a theme throughout the Bible. And so today, our story really begins with Hannah, who is a woman who really wants a child. And so she goes and she prays for a son. And this priest, Eli, overhears her praying. And he like thinks she sounds like she's actually been drinking, and so he confronts her. He talks to her about this, and she gets pretty offended, and she's like, "No, I'm praying for a son." And Eli hears this prayer, and he says, "God will grant this petition," and God does, and Hannah becomes pregnant. And she names him Samuel because she had asked God for him, and he had answered her prayers. But then she does this like really remarkable thing, and she ends up giving Samuel away. And she doesn't abandon him. She just gives him to Eli to raise in the temple, and so that Samuel can become a servant of God. And can you even imagine? Like she wanted this child for so long, and then to give him away so that he could serve the Lord. And it becomes this amazing thing for Samuel and for all of God's people, because Samuel ends up becoming someone that we'll learn a lot more as we continue to read in the Bible. He ends up anointing King Saul and King David, the first two kings, and he's known as a prophet and a hero of the Bible. So today, we get to hear from Eli to actually get his take of what it was like to be there when Samuel gets the call from God. So let's check that out. I'm here in the temple, and it looks like Eli is sleeping. I guess I should try to wake him. Eli, are you awake?
No. Go back to sleep.
Okay. Eli, I'm here.
Go back to bed.
Well, I'm not tired, but I'm about to start working overtime if this guy doesn't wake up soon. Eli, I've got a surprise for you.
Great googly moogly. What is going on, kid? Just go back to sleep. All right, if you hear that voice again, just say, "Lord, I'm listening." Like you did last time, remember?
Hey, Eli, I'm not that kid. Lord, I'm listening.
No. Don't say it to me. Say it to God. Wait. Who are you?
I'm Kyrstin, and I'm from the future. Want to see what it's like?
The future? Here I am, Lord, listening, and I'm your servant.
Ladies and gentlemen, he is a bit tired from being woken up so much, but here he is, Eli.
I feel like I'm experiencing...
Deja vu.
What? No, I feel like I've done this before.
Yeah, this deja vu, but never mind. So someone has woken you up before?
Yeah, Samuel did this. I mean, it was like exactly the same thing the other night.
Well, so what happened?
Well, I heard him. He kept coming and waking me up, and finally I just said, "Samuel, if you hear it again, say, 'Lord, your servant is listening.'"
So did the Lord speak to him?
Yeah, actually, the Lord did speak to him. But it's kind of weird. He didn't want to tell me about it, but I think it's partly because the Lord had to deliver some bad news about me and my future. I'm kind of curious what that's going to be like, but at least it's good news that he's talking to Samuel and that
Yes,
God is
for
talking to Samuel now. And so we can look to Samuel for guidance from what God says.
Yeah, for sure. And Samuel definitely will listen to God.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
And when he grows up, he's going to be a very important prophet. He'll even anoint the first 2 kings of Israel.
Samuel will?
Yes.
Really? I mean, praise to the Lord.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
The people will finally get their king. So wait a minute. You're from the future?
Yes.
Question for you. Mm-hmm. Do the people in the future listen to God better than they do in the past?
Well, sometimes. So you remember the story of the Israelites and how they were asking Aaron for an idol to bow down to?
I love telling that story.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's just say that in the future we have lots of different idols that can distract us. But we know God is always with us, and sometimes God has to be a little bit more persistent to, get us to hear the message.
I can relate. Like, my sons are always getting in trouble. They're so disobedient. And I haven't been listening to God. I haven't really been doing what God's asking me to do. But I'm just so worn out. And I'm just thankful that God got my attention and that God is talking to Samuel. And it sounds like God will continue to send messages into the future.
Yes, for sure.
But is everything going to turn out okay?
Well, not for you personally.
No?
But it does for Samuel, and he becomes a great hero.
Okay, I can live with that. I mean, thanks be to God.
Well, I'm glad you're at peace with this. Now, I think it's probably time to get you back. Maybe you can catch up on some sleep. Let's go.